It's June 2024, and following former President Donald Trump's conviction on 34 felony counts, his campaign experienced an unprecedented financial surge, raising a record $53 million. Remarkably, nearly a third of these contributions came from first-time donors, suggesting a significant portion of the populace perceived the trial as unjust. This influx of funds raises a critical question. How will this development impact the polls? Leading up to the trial, pollsters frequently inquired about the potential impact of a conviction on public opinion. Generally, these hypothetical questions indicated a decline in support for Trump. However, it's important to note a significant caveat. The reliability and quality of responses diminish when pollsters ask about potential future events. In essence, we can only accurately gauge shifts in public opinion after the event has occurred. Already, new polls are shedding some light on the situation. An ABC News poll reveals that 50% of Americans believe Trump's conviction was justified, while 27% think it was wrongful. Predictably, these results are deeply polarized along partisan lines, suggesting minimal overall impact on public opinion. Interestingly, the same poll shows President Joe Biden pulling ahead of Trump by 2 points, though this margin falls within the standard variance, implying no definitive shift in the political landscape. A Reuters poll corroborates these findings, with Biden gaining a 2-point lead over Trump post-conviction. Among independents, 56% reported that the conviction did not affect their willingness to vote for Trump, while 25% stated that they are now less likely to support him. This sentiment is echoed within the Republican Party to a lesser extent, where approximately 10% indicated they are less likely to vote for Trump following his conviction. With no direct state-by-state polling yet, we can adjust the latest poll in each state to reflect potential shifts. Notably, however, there was a poll released from the state of New York in the midst of Trump's sentencing, which showed a significant shift towards the right, with Biden leading by just 7 points. This poll occurred prior to the conviction, however, meaning that it did not lead to this shift. Overall, this represents a stark change and puts the state into the likely Democratic column. Now, I will fill the states that are solidly red or blue. Now, with only a handful of states left up for grabs, let's dig deeper into the latest polls and see where the election stands. Florida falls just under the 10-point threshold to be considered solidly Republican, with the latest poll showing Trump up 9 points over Biden. Heading over to 538, we see that Trump has pulled ahead 9 points or higher in each of the 5 most recent polls. Digging deeper, we see that Kennedy is polling at a pretty weak 6 points, which is unsurprising considering how early we are into the campaign season and how polarized this state is. Overall, Trump's 9-point lead puts Florida into the likely Republican column. Moving north, Georgia is polling at a surprising Trump +8. Trump carried this state previously in 2016, but Biden edged him out in 2020 by just 0.02 points. The state then appeared to maintain its blue tilt, with Raphael Warnock beating out his Republican opponent by nearly 3 points in the Senate runoff election. Now it seems to have shifted back towards the Republicans with Trump's current strong lead. Looking at the data, Kennedy is polling at 5 points and seems to be pulling more voters from Biden than Trump. This state will join Florida as likely Republican. Moving over to North Carolina, current polling shows Trump with a lead of 9 points. In the last election, Trump defeated Biden by 1.4%, and the state has continued to demonstrate a closely contested political landscape. The current 9-point lead for Trump suggests a persistence of Republican support. Kennedy is currently polling at 6 points, and again appears to be siphoning more votes from Biden, impacting the Democrats' performance. As of now, the latest poll puts North Carolina in the likely Republican category. Before we continue, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and support independent election news. Shifting our focus to Virginia, the latest poll indicates a +3 lead for Biden. This follows the pattern of Democratic gains in the state, but reveals a drop since Biden won in 2020 with a margin of over 10 points. The presence of Kennedy, who last polled at 14 points back in December, doesn't seem to enhance or diminish Biden's lead, suggesting that his base remains relatively solid. Overall, this puts the state into the lean Democratic column. Turning our attention to Pennsylvania, current polling indicates a pretty narrow advantage for Trump at +4. This state, a critical battleground, flipped to Trump in 2016, but was narrowly reclaimed by Biden in 2020 by just over 1 point. Pennsylvania's swing status and 19-point bucket makes it a focal point for both parties in this election cycle. Kennedy is currently polling at 8 points and is drawing votes from both candidates, but definitely more from Biden. The latest two-way poll shows Trump and Biden even. But when Kennedy is introduced, Trump's lead grows to 4 points, putting the state into the lean Republican category. At this point, Trump has secured enough votes to take the White House, but keep watching to find out just how many he can get. In New Jersey, the latest poll shows a lead for Biden of 5 points. This is a sharp drop from his 15-point victory in 2020. This lead puts the state into the lean Democratic column. In Michigan, the latest polls show Trump ahead by 1 point, which puts the state into the tilt Republican column. This is a significant observation, as Michigan was a key state that Trump won in 2016 by a very narrow margin, but flipped to Biden in 2020 by a 2.8% lead. This poll represents a slight expansion of that lead, but is still within the margin of error for Trump. Michigan's role as a pivotal battleground state in presidential elections cannot be overstated. In Wisconsin, current polling shows Trump leading by a margin of 1 point. Wisconsin has been a fiercely contested battleground state in recent elections. Biden won Wisconsin in 2020 by about 0.7%, a razor-thin margin that shows just how close this state was. Trump's lead in the current polls suggests another close race is likely, with both parties seeing substantial support. Kennedy is polling at 9 points, and Trump's lead puts the state into the tilt Republican column. Moving west to Minnesota, Biden holds a 2-point lead according to the latest polls, joining Wisconsin in the tilt column, but this time for the Democrats. Minnesota has been more consistently blue compared to Wisconsin, having voted for Democratic presidential candidates since 1976. New Hampshire currently shows a decent Biden lead of 3 points, putting the state into the lean blue column. Maine at large and the 2nd District are also in favor of Biden, this time leaning blue with leads of 6 and 7 points. We finally have data out of Nebraska's 2nd District, with Biden ahead 5 points, which puts this vote into the lean Democratic column. Unfortunately, there isn't much data out of New Mexico, with the latest poll being from August. It showed a 6-point Biden lead, so for now, we'll put it into the likely Democratic column. Moving to Arizona, the latest polls indicate that Trump is leading by 2 points. This represents a solid shift given that Biden narrowly won Arizona in 2020 by approximately 0.3%. Marking the first time the state voted Democratic in a presidential election since 1996. Arizona's shift towards Trump is further compounded as Kennedy pulls more votes from Biden. Overall, the state falls just short of lean Republican, ending up in the tilt column. In Nevada, we see a similar pattern with Trump currently ahead by 3 points in the polls. Nevada has been a swing state with close margins in recent elections. The state's diverse electorate, including significant urban populations in Las Vegas and Reno, has historically swung between the two major parties. Trump's current lead suggests a reversal of the 2020 results, influenced perhaps by economic concerns and immigration issues that could be swaying voters. With the electoral map now filled out, we can now estimate how Trump's conviction could impact the election. Overall, there should be marginal changes at best, perhaps swinging individual states by 1 point or less in either direction. The only states where that could currently have a tangible impact are Wisconsin and Michigan, and even in the event that Trump loses these states, he would still carry sufficient electoral votes to win the presidency by a significant amount. Effectively, this means that thus far, Trump's conviction overall has only aided him, giving his campaign a significant financial boost.